Well, the biggest bubble in the world by far is the bond bubble. So it's in a 300-year, it took 300 years for the bonds in the UK to get this extended and into a bubble. It took over 240 years for the American debt market to get into this bubble. It's so far in a bubble that's gone negative. Interest rates in the sovereign bond market are now actually negative. So that not even Bernie Madoff, got his Ponzi scheme to that level of extremity. So that is by far the biggest bubble in the world, is the U.S. bond market and the sovereign debt market. Then you have behind that, I would say, the fiat money currency. The U.S. dollar is in an enormous bubble. You've got a lot of still some property markets are in a huge bubble, and probably the one asset in the world now that's undervalued, that's not even very close to getting into a valuation that it should be commensurate with the rest of the markets, would be Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the cheapest asset in the world you can buy. As Paul Tudor Jones has said, it's the fastest horse in the race. Paul Tudor Jones doesn't have to say much to make a huge statement. He said that the Bitcoin price is mispriced. He said the Bitcoin price is, whenever he sees something as mispriced as Bitcoin, he gets excited to see that. And what he means by that is what I've just said, essentially, is that everything else pretty much is in a bubble. Bitcoin is one of the only assets probably that's not a bubble. It's the most undervalued asset probably in the world today. I'm going with $220,000 per Bitcoin as a 2021 target. And that would bring us up to over $4 trillion market valuation, which I think is a good 2021 objective. We were going to catch up to gold. That would bring us up to not quite half gold's valuation, but getting close to gold's valuation. I think the catalyst is going to be, as I said, a major central bank failing, plus the money printing is going to go absolutely Weimar Republic. So we're going to see that, depending on how you calculate this, the 10 to 15 trillion that was printed in the last
So 220,000 per Bitcoin. When you come up with these forecasts, like I said, 2 years ago, you accurately predicted the 2020 forecast. How do you come up with these numbers? Are you sitting at the table with a calculator? Are you, baking your cheesecake and it comes to you? Like, how do you get to that number?
Yeah, I like the image of me baking a keto cheesecake and thinking about all these things. Well, first of all, some of it's proprietary. I can't go into the minutia because, this is the secret sauce of my whole enterprise. I don't want to get too specific. But having said that, there's certain trends that you can put into your calculation. So we just had a halving, right? We had the third halving in Bitcoin. There's three things in Bitcoin that people like Nouriel Roubini never mentioned: the halvings, the difficulty adjustment, and the hash rate. Now, that would be like me being a real estate broker and trying to sell real estate and telling people that I don't know where the house is, I don't know how big the house is, and I don't know who owns the house. Would you be a successful real estate broker? No. So Nouriel Roubini never mentions the halving, the hash rate, or the difficulty adjustment. Wait, let me get back to the question. So the halving happens every 4 years. So the supply gets cut in half. So that then you input that into the demand. So the demand is going, the demand's going higher, right? All these huge money folks are coming in to Bitcoin. Then the supply is shrinking. For example, there's 900 Bitcoin a day that are created, and the demand is over 4,000 a day. So that should tell you something right there. If you look at the exchanges, there's Bitcoin, kind of a snapshot of how many Bitcoin are circulating or in existence, being moved around. That is shrinking rapidly because institutions are taking Bitcoin. They're gobbling up that Bitcoin. We're going to enter a Bitcoin shortage. So a couple of things we haven't seen, we're going to see in 2021. We're going to see gap pricing. In terms of price discovery. So, okay, it's 37,000. Once you get above 40,000, that panic buying from institutions comes in. You could see 42,000, and then the next print be 44,000. Right? You're gonna see.
Is it a straight up road to 220,000, or is there going to be major corrections along the way?
Well, like we just saw a 20% correction. I think we're going to see 10, 20% corrections all the time. And I don't know, I wouldn't say that this is where we end the year either. probably this
Okay.
220,000 number, probably you're going to see that in October, November will be the high of the year. If you look historically to how the Bitcoin's traded versus the halvings and the demand and the difficulty adjustment and the mining industry and the acceleration of the technology in the mining industry and how efficient miners are, the cost of electricity, right? That's also a factor in this calculation. So there's a lot of different things that come into it.
I also have a forecast for Bitcoin.
Okay.
I'm not going to say it. I'm going to write it down on a piece of paper